you need vitamin D. Now, people can get vitamin D from the sun, but this day and age, people are so worried about the sun. Sunscreen diminishes vitamin D production a lot. Like if you put on like enough sunscreen to keep you from getting sunburned, you can cut your vitamin D production by like 90-something%.
Welcome to Body Sculpt of New York 6 Weeks to Fitness podcast, where we hope to inform, motivate, encourage, and inspire you towards living a healthier lifestyle. And now, here's your host, the president of Body Sculpt of New York, Vince Ferguson.
Welcome to 6 Weeks to Fitness, episode 233. My guest today is Dr. Edwin Ted Simpson, a visionary health innovator, veterinarian turned supplement creator, and the founder of Alexin, a company dedicated to natural science-based health solutions. After decades treating champion racehorses and seeing the dark side of overprescribed medicine, both in animals and humans, Dr. Simpson made it his mission to find better answers. Now, what started in a small lab mixing custom herbal blends for horses has grown into a movement for human health. And today we're diving into RevOsteo, his latest breakthrough in bone and metabolic support. Whether you're active, aging like we all are, or just want to stay strong and mobile, this episode is for you. And I'm pleased to welcome Dr. Edwin Simpson to my 6 Weeks to Fitness podcast. Dr. Simpson, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic, and it's good to be with you.
Oh, it's a pleasure having you, and I have so many questions for you. All right, so I don't want to take a lot of your time, but you've gone from racehorses, I see those racehorses in the background, to human health. What inspired the leap from equine supplements to founding Alexin?
Well, it wasn't really a leap. So we still make equine supplements, but so I developed that business over about a decade while I was practicing. And what happened is we had a lot of people that were taking our horse supplements and asking if we could make those for people. And after a few years of constant urging from my partners or associates, I finally said, well, okay, let's just do it. Let's just make some of these products for people. But we had to do a little reformulation to get there.
Well, I'm sure. Which do you prefer? Who do you prefer? Working with humans or racehorses?
Well, I spent my adult life and career working with horses, which is one of my passions. So okay. I still love horses. I just don't practice anymore. So as far as the supplements go, I just like to solve problems. And I mean, that's the basis of what we do. Where there are problems that we can approach and help, we develop supplements for those issues.
Wow, that is absolutely amazing, But before we dive into RevOsteo, I want to touch on some of the other supplements that Alexin has in its lineup. They're pretty important. But let's start with the Velo Sleep. What inspires you to create a sleep product, and what makes it different from melatonin or other prescription aids?
Well, that was actually the driving force to start Alexin. Is one of our best-selling product line for the horses is called Cinchill, and it's the #1 equine supplement in that category. So we use Griffonia seeds, which is a natural source of 5-HTP. 5-HTP is a precursor to serotonin. So we had a lot of people taking the horse Cinchill and to sleep, and so it's not really in a good form for people. So we developed a gummy, and instead of I don't want to dive down too far into the rabbit hole with biochemistry and such, but the bottom line is that 5-HTP will drive the serotonin production, and serotonin is, we call it the happy hormone. It makes it's relaxation. It's reduces fear and anxiety. That's why it works for horses. It reduces fear. And then people just, there's this sense of relaxation that one gets with serotonin.
Right.
And the melatonin comes later when the light is down. So when all the conditions are right, the brain will decide to turn that serotonin into melatonin, which is important for sleep. But instead of taking a big bolus of melatonin and overwhelming yourself with it, and then it goes away, it's better to have that serotonin there and let the brain make its melatonin as it sees fit with the right conditions. So, so that's how we got there.
Well, that is great, though. So it has a natural effect,
Right.
which is perfect. Now, you also created a product called Amend GI, and to my understanding, that's basically formulated for gut health, which is a very important issue today. Talk about that.
Okay, we'll go back to the horses yet again. And I was actually working on something that other than gut health, and I started looking into these different herbs. I said, this will probably help gastric ulcers, which is a huge problem. I would say nearly all, not all, but most, I mean, up in the high 90% of horses that are athletic have ulcers. And we can see, we put a scope in their stomach and look at them. And so I started messing around with this and supplementing horses with it. And it was the results were astonishing. It was so effective. So we started making that and marketing it for horses. Same thing. I take it. I was taking these extracts. Other people were. So again, why not make it into a human supplement? It comes from the primary ingredient base comes from plant products that are already consumed by people. We're just concentrating them for this purpose. So we made that product for gastric ulcers, and it's been a big success. We have a lot of happy, I call them customers, I guess, that take it. So including me, I take it every day. Just
Really?
Well, because I'm busy. I mean, and it's not about stress, like negative stress, but I'm involved and engaged every day, and so if I don't take it, there will be times when I start to feel, a little stomach discomfort. So I take it regularly, as do a lot of people.
It's excellent, and you're saying that it's plant-based.
Yes. Yes.
Excellent, excellent. And so it basically takes care of ulcers. Is that true?
Yeah, it does. So we have to be a little careful here in how because we're in the supplement world. So a dietary supplement, the FDA does not allow us to make strong claims or really specific health claims. So we have to talk about digestive health, gut health, and if you will, and but we're targeting ulcers because our goal is to promote healing without affecting acid production, because acid production is also important for bone health and nutrient absorption for general health.
Okay, interesting. Very good. Now, but you have another product that I want to just briefly touch on because it's called what? Fox VCS? Is that the correct pronunciation?
Yeah. Well, the naming for us was kind of funny.
Yeah.
But it doesn't translate to people. They say Fox. We say F-Ox. So that's why there's the asterisks in there. So F-Ox. Ox standing for oxidation or oxidative stress, really. So we're fighting oxidative stress, free radical damage, that kind of thing.
Really? But this product is for the vision and cognitive support. Really dive into that for me. Okay, so I'm going to lump two of these products together for you because they're very similar. So we have a regular F-Ox, which was our original version, and the one that we call VCS is vision and cognitive support. The difference in those is we added to the regular F-Ox
ingredients for vision and cognitive support. And so the FOX part is, it's a blend of astaxanthin with acetylcysteine. Acetylcysteine and glycine are the two dry. There are 3 amino acids, but those two, when you increase intake of those, you increase your glutathione. And glutathione is the body's antioxidant. So if you're working out and you get sore, you overwhelm your glutathione, right? And we've all done that. By looking at you, you've done it more than I have. So anyway, so we're fighting that oxidative stress, that free radical damage that's caused just by metabolism.
Mm-hmm.
And as you get older, you lose your glutathione goes down. So, but to get to the VCS part of it, the vision and cognitive support, there are some other compounds, lutein, xanthine, zeaxanthine. These things accumulate in your eyes and in your brain and protect your eyes and your brain from oxidative stress. So as you get older, you lose your lenses and your eyes get less flexible. So so you can see far or near, but most people start wearing reading glasses. Right. And then and all these disorders of senility show up. So as you get old, you forget things. You know, there are all these dementia things that show up, and the basis for most of those brain issues for people come from oxidative stress. So lutein and zeaxanthin, xanthine, and astaxanthin all protect those tissues from that kind of oxidative stress. So you reduce that. I mean, you can't stop it completely. We're going to get older regardless of what we do, but slowing down that damage maintains your vision and cognitive health much longer. And so that's the premise.
Yes, that's the premise. So it can actually, would you say, improve your sight?
Well, again, we have to be careful about what the claims we make. I will tell you that I quit wearing my glasses about 1.5 years ago.
You have? Really?
Now, I'll still wear them at nighttime some, but my vision was pretty good anyway. You know, but you know, it was crisp with the glasses, less crisp without them, and you know, blurry street signs and stuff. But we live on a lake, and I can see across this little cove of the lake we're on to the trees. And one morning, I'm just looking out the window. I'm thinking, you know what? That looks pretty good over there. I don't think I need to put my glasses on, and so I kind of quit wearing them most of the time. So I'm not going to make a claim that this product makes your vision better, but the goal is to reduce the decline, and on the cognitive side of things, now some of these ingredients have been studied. Like lutein is one example that is shown to improve cognitive function, executive function, after 60 days of supplementation. So so that's the idea: protect it and improve it where you can, but mainly protect where you are. So I also don't wear reading glasses. I'm 62.
Oh, see, that's great.
So again, I could wear them. You know, if I'm in a dark restaurant looking at a menu, sometimes I need a little light, but for the most part, I'm not wearing them now. I have on my desk here, I don't need them. But so my goal is to hold that stuff off as long as possible to live a better quality of life.
And I love that that's what you're doing. And it sounds like it's having an effect. I know you can't make certain claims, but the proof is in the pudding, as they say. You know.
Right.
But would you say all of your products, including RevOsteo, follows a common theme, like targeting the root cause and not just the symptoms?
Well, yes, exactly. So, and we don't make general health supplements like you know, this just is better for you. We're attacking problems, And I think that's important because there's so much stuff out there that
Yes.
it's hard to figure out what one would take. But if you know the specific things that you're concerned with about your own health,
Mhm.
then you can have a direction on what supplements to take.
And I think that because I always talk about physical fitness and nutrition, it's so important to focus on your nutrition. So many of us do not. So even for those of us who do or trying to do, it sounds like these supplements would be a great improvement. I help assist you in that goal, which I like this very much. I will say
Right.
that. I really, truly do. Now, with this being the month of May, it's National Osteoporosis Awareness and Prevention Month. It's only appropriate that we now discuss bone health. Okay, Doc, why is bone health such a big deal, especially as we age?
Well, it's a huge deal because we're all going to lose bone density as we get older, especially um, in that post 50 age category. And it starts before then for most people, but really for women, it's postmenopausal. It's the decline in hormones, but it happens in men too. And I don't know if you're aware of the term that they use for men that are old like me. They call us hypogonadal, which is a horrible name. It
Yes.
means I don't want to be called hypogonadal. It means your testosterone is lower. So
Lower.
as one's testosterone gets lower, our bone density gets lower, and we have to make an effort to maintain that. So there's a lot that goes into that, but right now I think it's roughly 54 million people in this country, and I don't know the numbers internationally
Right.
off the top of my head,
Mm-hmm.
but basically 50% of women in that age group have low bone density. Now, I wouldn't say osteoporosis.
Right.
That 54 million would be called osteopenic, where they're just low, but they're not quite at that lower level of osteoporosis. But we have 10 million people in the country with osteoporosis. That's crazy, So
Yes.
and this is important because as you're aging, and so like a hip fracture when you're in your 60s or especially in your 70s, the mortality rate, like the 1 year mortality rate after a hip fracture is staggering. It's super, super high. So it's important to maintain your bone density so you don't fall and break stuff when you're older.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's why it's important. It's just such an integral part of our health. And we're better at maintaining our physiological health these days. So we can live longer, but without good bone structure, we can't live longer better.
Yes, the quality of life isn't as high when you have low bone density,
Right.
or bone health. I agree 100%. But why is it that women after menopause are really affected by this? What is it about menopause?
Estrogen is really important in bone metabolism, and our hormones regulate our body function. It's just the hormones are such an important part of what our bodies do. Now, we could look at this philosophically and go back and say, well, we're really not supposed to live that long because after we quit reproducing, we're talking about like prehistorically, we don't have much use, but in our social settings today, we want to live as long as possible. So, and women lose their hormone function quicker than men do. So many men have normal testosterone levels way late in life, whereas women almost certainly in their 50s are going to go through menopause and lose their hormone drive. Where estrogen, kind of restricts the activity of osteoclasts, which resorb the calcium out of the bone, and they maintain the activity of osteoblasts, which put calcium in bone. So without the estrogen, It's that function is diminished.
It's diminished. Oh, I see. I see. But what makes RevOsteo different from the typical calcium supplement we see on other stores today?
Well, we all need calcium.
Yes.
So first of all, you need vitamin D to absorb the calcium. So you can take all the calcium you want. You're not going to absorb enough without enough vitamin D. So there's that. So we don't even put calcium in this supplement because calcium is readily available in our diets. We just have to absorb it. And there are people that need to take calcium supplements, but this supplement has to be takeable. So if we add a bunch of calcium to it, now you're taking 3 or 4 capsules, and it just becomes difficult to take it. So we leave the calcium out. Get your calcium from your diet, which is doable. So you need vitamin D. Now people can get vitamin D from the sun, but this day and age, people are so worried about the sun. Sunscreen diminishes vitamin D production a lot. Like if you put on like enough sunscreen to keep you from getting sunburn, you can cut your vitamin D production by like 90-something%.
Wow.
So most people don't. So whether or not you get it from the vitamin D from the sun or from supplementation, you got to make sure you get it. So we have that in there. And we have 3, so that's the inactive ingredient. We have boron, which is also is part of steroid hormone management, and it assists with vitamin D metabolism and bone matrix production. So, but those I would call the inactive or the kind of helping ingredients. We have 3 active ingredients. So we have these Icarians that come from Herba epimedium, which is a plant, and that stimulates bone activity, stimulates osteoblast activity, and restricts osteoclast activity. And all 3, we have beta glucans, which have similar effects, and vitamin K2, which it's also called minoquinone. There's some different names for it. But all these 3 things work together synergistically to improve bone production and minimize bone resorption. So I think we have the most comprehensive supplement that I've seen on the market for sure. A lot of people have vitamin K2 in supplements that you can buy at the store, and which is good, it's good, but I like to use multiple ingredients to accomplish the same goal. And so you can generate that synergistic effect that way.
That is great. I was going to ask you about vitamin K2, and the D3 together, because I know you combine the 2, which is so important. But it's interesting that you don't include calcium. It's very interesting.
Well, if you use dairy products, now I know a lot of people don't, and certainly if you're vegan, but there's a lot of calcium in vegetables, legumes, beans, broccoli, but cheeses, yogurt. If you're not vegan, it's easy to get it from all the dairy products. So it's also something that it's such a common mineral to find one way or the other. This combination of other ingredients is not. It's hard to find those. So we're trying to make the hard part easy to take, and the easy stuff you can do. So one also should do testing. Test your vitamin D levels. It's easy to do in the labs. They're cheap tests. You don't have to spend much money to get your vitamin D and your calcium levels checked.
Yes. That's a big deal, because I often talk about this, the fact that most of us in America are vitamin D deficient, and people of color especially, So
that's right.
Very important to note this. Now, on the bottle of RevOsteo, it states remodeling, recovery, and restoration. Can you explain what that means in simple terms when it comes to our bones?
Well, remodeling is the general term for bone turnover. And for example, if you let's say that you're not a runner, but you start running more,
Right.
your legs are going to, the bones in your legs are to get denser and stronger. That's remodeling. It's building, and we're, some of these are buzzwords, if you will.
Right.
So restoring, get your bones. So if you're starting to lose a little bone, you need to do more than just RevOsteo, to be honest with you. There are a lot of steps for bone health. We're just filling in that part of the equation that you're not going to get from the other, the other activities that you need to do to maintain your bone strength.
Right. But this is great. This is good. Now, I noticed that you mentioned Icarin, and that's also what's it called, Icarin. And you mentioned about
people say it differently. I say it Icarians.
Icarian, right? Okay.
Icarian.
That's
two eyes.
Okay. Yeah, 2 eyes. That's very important.
Yeah.
But let me ask you this in regards to bones. Can strong bones actually affect how we feel or move day to day, Doc? Like our energy balance or even pain levels?
Well, I think I think the bone health issue, the strong bones are more at a basic level than, so I don't think that you're necessarily going to feel different with just because your bones are strong. Now, I've never had osteoporosis, so I don't know about that, and I know that there, let me back up a little bit, because there's some interesting connection between the osteoclast, which is a resorptive cell, and pain. So those two are related. So the osteoclast is related to pain, and suppressing osteoclast generally improve the perception of bone pain. So they decrease the bone pain perception by reducing the osteoclast activity. But the bone health is just part of this overall body health, the total health package. So you need muscle health. Well, you can't have muscle strength without good bones. They all go together.
Right.
And you have to have, without good muscle health, you can't have good balance, because your core is not good enough. You can't do that without strong bones. So these things all go together.
Yes. All go hand in hand. That's great.
Yeah.
Okay. So what about those of us like myself who advocate for strength training to keep your bones nice and strong and dense? What's your feelings about that?
Well, I think it's critical. It's absolutely critical, especially as you get older. Because, young people, let's say in that age, if you're in that group of people that have kids and, working every day, and you're running around doing stuff all the time. So there's some level of activity, even if you get a little soft and pudgy like I did when I was in my 30s. I was still working hard enough to get some activity. As I got older, now I'm not saying that you shouldn't be fit, because I think you should be fit your whole life.
Yes.
I think it's so important.
Yes, it is.
But especially as you get older, resistance training is critical for health. It's critical for bone health. It's critical for balance. It's critical for maintaining enough muscle mass for metabolism. You need a lot of muscle mass to metabolize all the nutrients. So we have an epidemic of diabetes and metabolic syndrome in this country. Not very many of those people have muscle fitness. So if you let me reverse that. Not many people that are muscularly fit get metabolic disease. So, but the resistance training for older people, like I said, keeps the muscle strong, so you have that muscle mass for metabolism. Keeps the core muscle strong enough for balance, and keeps the bone strong enough to support, that frame that supports the body. And so that balance keeps you from falling and breaking things. And
Hmm.
and if you do fall when you get older and you have good bone strength, maybe you don't break anything, so you live longer. So they all go together.
All synergistic, all go together, right? And I also often talk about how the fact the more muscle you have, the easier it is to burn fat, right?
Yes, right,
So,
right.
which is so very, very important. But how does your experience, Doc, as a veterinarian, shape the way you formulate your supplements for humans?
Well, interestingly, there's a product that we make for the horses called Osteon based on the name of that. So this is a very similar product to the RevOsteo. So that's the basis of it. And that was the first product I ever made for horses as a supplement. And so the horse that needs help with bone metabolism is a little different. They're young. They're mostly the younger horses, and they start training. They have to develop a lot of bone very quickly.
Yes.
They develop the rest of their physiology much like fitness, like aerobic fitness, much more quickly than they develop bone fitness. So they get a lot of bone. They get stress fractures. They shin. Kids get shin splints playing ball. Like I got them playing football when I was a kid.
Right.
Horses get that at another level where they're really, really sore. And if they continue to train, they develop stress fractures. And the stress fractures are difficult to get to heal. So I developed this product with all of those hundreds and hundreds of horses every year that needed help with this. And I modified the product over the years, the supplement till we got to a place where we didn't eliminate it, but we nearly did eliminate all these bone problems. There's a lot of stress fractures. So that's kind of, I had, when I was practicing at the racetrack, I had, hundreds and hundreds of horses that needed help with certain issues. And that's how we did our beta testing. So.
Oh, for horses.
Yeah. And when transferring that concept to people, we don't have our final results yet, but we're in the process of doing serial DEXA scans for bone density with supplementation. And we have to compare that to exercise alone and exercise and supplementation to prove that the product works. So we're in the middle of that.
Okay. Is this similar to like clinical trials?
Yeah. Same premise. Yeah, same concept.
Okay, which is great. Because the more verification you have on that, the better, right?
Right. So we have established that all of our ingredients work and do what they're supposed to do, but it's going to take a while to finish it. But at the end of this, we'll have really hard data of what you can expect, with your own body. Right.
Yeah. And how long does it take, you think, for someone to actually see the results?
Well, so when you're thinking about bone metabolism, you got to think in months to a few years, because it's slow, as opposed to like the results you get from working out. Your muscle is faster.
That's fast. Sure.
When people have gastric ulcers and they take our MNGI, it's instant gratification. They feel better right away. And
Really?
if you can't sleep and you take a gummy and you go to sleep, it's instant gratification.
Yes.
This process takes a lot longer. So so what I think everybody that gets to this age, basically this 50-ish age, maybe start at 45, maybe not, depending on everybody's a little different.
Right.
Should start to look and see should get a DEXA scan and see what their bone density is. And if they're normal, they're normal. Keep doing what you're doing.
Right.
Keep working out, keep exercising, eating well.
Yes.
Don't smoke, don't drink too much, all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
But if you're starting to lose a little bone density, when you do, you should do that every year or two. based on your own physician's recommendations. But if you start to see a little slide there, start supplementing, check it again in a few months and see if you made any gains. So you can get, we're talking about in 6 months, you might get, 3 to 8% increase in bone density by combining exercise and supplementation has a similar effect.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to do all of it. You have to do diet, exercise, hormone balance. You should think about hormone replacement therapy if your hormones are low. I'm not telling people to do that. They need to be guided by a physician to do that. But each one of those has a small effect, a few percentage effect on your bone density, and as does the supplementation. Doing all those together could get you huge results. But still, you're think in terms of 2, 6, 12 months to measure your progress.
Okay, 2, 6, 12 months to measure your progress. Because I was wondering, for someone who's never taken a bone supplement before, what kind of changes would they notice after taking it, consistently? So
yeah, I don't think you're going to notice anything. You're not going to feel it. This is, in fact, I don't know who coined this phraseology, but osteoporosis is considered the silent killer because it sneaks up on people. I'll give you an example. I have a good friend who's I think she's pushing 70. She's in her mid to late 60s, and she's a rock climber.
Wow.
And I'm thinking, wow, she rides her mountain bike every morning, super fit, super strong, and she's osteopenic.
Really?
Because she doesn't have any hormones anymore, and she's not doing hormone therapy. So, and she can't do the hormone therapy because she's suffered from a breast cancer that's sensitive to hormones. So, it's promoted by the cancer is driven by estrogen. So this is just an anecdotal situation. So she needs supplements and she needs to keep working out, to maintain her bone density. She doesn't have osteoporosis, but she's osteopenic. There are a lot of people like that in that age group.
Okay. So she's taking RevOsteo?
Yeah, just started. Well, we just launched this product, and
when did you launch?
Exactly a few weeks ago.
Oh, okay.
But we've been in development for quite a while.
Yes.
And we had a little supply chain issue with capsules because we use vegan capsules, and that kind of thing. These are the problems that one has in manufacturing. So everything's ready to go, but we don't have capsules to put them in. But we have all that now.
Oh, okay. But this is good to know because that means that this product is relatively new, and but it's very necessary. Very much so. So I'm quite impressed with what I'm hearing today, and I'm gonna have to speak on this a little bit more once I put this out there, because I think that more people need to be aware of this. This is totally plant-based, correct, Doc?
This one, let me think for a second. The beta glucans come from yeast, so it's not animal. Well, we don't have anything animal-based, put it that way.
Okay, no animal-based products.
Yeah. Well, we have our MinGI has chitosan in it, which the chitosan is derived from shellfish shells. It's modified, so it's not an allergen per se, but everything else is plant-based, right?
Okay, which is good. Now, I've been to your website too, and I noticed the prices for all your products are very affordable. Was that intentional? Because, go ahead.
Well, it is. We want them to be adopted by the masses. So, and we do everything. We manufacture. We develop, formulate, manufacture. The only thing that we don't do in-house is our testing. So we do some testing for ingredient identities and profiles, but like our microbiology testing, and when we finish making a product, we have a third-party lab verify that what's supposed to be in there is in there. And these are all, this is required by the FDA anyway, so we do that. And but because we do all of our development, manufacturing, packaging in-house, we have better margins, so we can have better price points.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Oh, yeah. But the public benefits from that, though.
Yeah, I think we all do, because we can still profit.
Yes.
And people can still afford the products.
Oh, most definitely. And you have some good products too. How can my listeners and viewers find out more about RevOsteo and the Alexin product line?
Well, the easiest way is to go to alexin.com. And we have information about the products on our website, and they can also, if they have more questions, can send us an email on our website and say, hey, what about this? We'll do our best to answer it. So that's the best way.
Excellent. Anything else you want to share, Doctor?
Well, I guess we've covered quite a bit of ground. I guess what I would say with with bone health, it's just important to keep, the supplementation is important. That's where we're trying to help. But it's important to keep in mind the overall approach to health, and which is diet, exercise, good sleep, do all of those things, and when trying to manage, if you're not well versed in medicine and physiology, look for a medical practice, a physician's practice that's special, or a nurse practitioner, or any of those healthcare professionals that are specializing or focusing or emphasizing health span. So we talk about lifespan, but health span, if you're going to live longer,
yes,
be healthy. And there are numerous professionals out there that specialize in that, and they can help you with all of this.
Yes, it doesn't hurt to supplement along the way.
Oh, well, right. And always where your weaknesses are or needs are, supplement. It's yeah.
Makes good sense. Well, Doc, this has been amazing. I really want to thank you for coming on my show today.
Well, thanks for having me. It was good talking to you. Appreciate it.
It's a pleasure. And I want to thank my listeners for tuning in to this program as well. And I truly hope this program was informative, encouraging, and inspiring, and that you will continue tuning in to my 6 Weeks of Fitness podcast. And if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions for the show, please leave them in the comment section below, or email me at vince@6weeks.com. And please don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. And remember, we don't stop exercising because we grow old, and we grow old because we stop exercising. Right, Doc?
That's excellent. Excellent.